welcome you to our Foro Educativo. It is a three-night workshop where we as an organization inform and educate our community regarding all the resources available to be able to not only enroll, but also help to pay and complete your college studies. So, little history on Juventud Ecuatoriana for those of you who do not know us yet. We were founded in 2006 as a 501c3 not-for-profit organization in New York. So our mission is to empower and develop the intellectual ability of Ecuadorians worldwide. And our vision is to become a self-sustaining organization to be able to provide resources and workshops such as financial workshops, educational workshops, and also cultural events to be able to not only empower our community, but also maintain our culture that we miss from our home. So tonight, we go into night one, which is all about undergraduate admissions. So tonight we have professors and experts in their fields having to do with admissions. And without further ado, I would like to introduce from Bronx Community College, Dr. Lester Rapalo.
Hi, David. Hi, Sylvia. Hi, Viviana.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the wonderful opportunity. Super excited to be here with you all today.
Thank you. I am also going to add Dr. Irene onto.
Hi, everybody. My name is Irene. I'm the Vice President for Student Success at Bronx Community College. Very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you both. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the timeline for today in that your institution and those that are representing institutions will be speaking about their admissions process, the program that they have at their school. We'll also follow up with a couple of prepared questions we have. And then later on at the very end of the session, we'll be doing questions and answers. But since you both are representatives of Bronx Community College, could you speak upon the admissions process and how are you working with spring admissions and also the following year admissions?
Lester, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
You can go first. Lady
Well,
first.
as with any school, it all starts with an application. But I would say that that's just to get to be accepted to the school. What it really starts with when we're in this COVID environment is looking at a web page. And that's how the first connection begins, is when you go onto a web page, can you understand where you're going and what questions you want answered? And why are you looking at the school that you're looking at? So, of course, I want everyone to apply to Bronx Community College, but it starts with filling out an application. And that just starts the process of identifying yourself to the school and that the school consider you to be a part of their student body. Most community colleges have a plethora of courses that you can take and majors to have. So what you really want to do is find that connection where you meet people and talk to people and know that you're going to be taken care of and not just a number. So the application process is always very easy. Most schools, you go in, you put in your name, your number, your social security number. If you're a DACA student, we have ways to work around that so that doesn't get in the way. And then that application goes to a big, gigantic warehouse where it's all processed and transcripts from your high school have to be sent. And then that's how you start the school to connect with the student via email, via text, via phone calling to make that connection with the student. Lester, do you want to talk a little bit about the majors that we have?
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Irene Delgado. Just to give you a little background of Bronx Community College, obviously we're in the Bronx. We have a strong first year generation college student, more than 55 of our student population are first year students. So obviously we're very excited to have such a diversity in our campus. We represent more than 100 cultures and more than 40 languages. When it comes to AAs and AS and AS certificates and programs, we have a very diverse portfolio for our students, whether they want to study business, psychology, sociology, whether they want to study chemistry, physics. We have a very strong portfolio that will help students to transfer to a four-year institution. And obviously, we have a strong articulation agreement with all of the CUNY system schools, whether they want to go to a Lehman, whether they want to go to John Jay. And so for our criminal justice program, it's a very well-known program, not only in New York, but also outside of New York City as well. So we're very happy to have a very diverse portfolio. Just to give you an idea of our student demographic, more than 61% of our student demographic are Latinos. Black or non-Hispanics is 33%. White non-Hispanic is 2%, and Asian and Pacific Islanders are 4%. And that gives you a brief idea of the diversity that we have within our student body population, and we're very excited and happy to have such diversity. When it comes to our minority faculty, which is very important because we want to make sure that our faculty represent the student body, more than 49% actually are minority full-time faculty, and female full-time faculty represent 49%. So that gives you also a sense of where our students and our faculty body, when it comes to diversity, what we represent at Bronx Community College. So we're very excited. We encourage you to apply it, as VP Delgado mentioned it. We make it easy for you to come to BCC. It's a great place to start, and it's a wonderful place where you're going to find well-known scholars that have contributed to different narrative in their work, whether that is physics, whether that is business, psychology, liberal arts, the sciences. So we encourage you to come to BCC. Our president, Thomas Sekenekbi, is committed to your success. And I always say this, your success is our success. So we're very happy to have you. And just to give you also an idea, we're working with our international student body population. We're currently working with the country of India, Costa Rica, and if I'm not mistaken, also with India, Costa Rica, and the third country that I'm sleeping is Spain. So we have some articulation agreements working with them, and that will open also another opportunity for international students.
Thank you so much, Dr. Apple. I actually want to also follow up with a couple of questions regarding, I know that you said that the Bronx Community College is in the Bronx. Are there a couple of sub-locations and of campuses specific to trade programs or specific nursing programs that might be?
Yes, we have nursing programs, we have RadTech, and we have MLT in Bronx Community College. And obviously, because of the nature of those particular programs, the students during this pandemic, obviously they come to the campus and they take those classes face to face. Obviously, practices social distancing and embodied everything that has to do with safety and precautions. So we're very excited for those programs. And our nursing program, just to mention this, was accredited. We passed accreditation last semester, so we're very happy for that.
I was also going to mention that we just launched last year our cybersecurity program. So that is, really cutting edge on where we are. The other thing I want to mention about Bronx Community College, when people think of the Bronx, they think of a city. And what is really unique about Bronx Community College is that it's on 47 acres of land where there are 33 buildings that comprise the campus. Normally, when you think of a campus in a city, you think of vertical buildings. You don't think of what students know a college to be like in Hollywood, that you walk onto a campus and there are beautiful trees and grass and these old buildings with the pillars. Well, that's exactly what happens when you walk onto Bronx Community College. We have a beautiful green quad with Wi-Fi, the old buildings with the pillars, spread over 47 acres. It's really just a haven of that idea of what a college looks like, not just some tall building, very sterile and unwelcoming. So that's one of the things that I think is so unique about Bronx Community College as opposed to any other city school, and I really think that that's amazing on top of 15 different majors, disciplines within our school. So cybersecurity, paralegal, the health sector, these are all up and coming and continue to be huge career makers for our students. And whether they continue on to a 4-year or after 2 years move into the business world, we do really well with our students.
Correct. And also, if you don't mind, Sylvia, I want to talk to you really briefly about one of the signature programs that we have Bronx Community College, and that is our ASAP program. It's something that we're very proud of at Bronx Community College. ASAP is an accelerated study and associate programs at BCC. And basically, just to give you the gist of ASAP, and how proud we are of our ASAP students. Our ASAP student graduated more than double the rates of non-ASAP students across 8 cohorts that we have in BCC. When considering long-term outcomes across CUNY and ASAP students are more likely to earn a degree. 6 years after the beginning, 63% of ASAP first-time freshmen had earned either an associate degree or a baccalaureate degree or both, versus 43% comparison groups to other students. So last year, we were awarded by the Harvard University for the inclusion and diversity and the social mobility the ASAP actually model entails. And we're very excited. We provide specialized advising. We provide MetroCard. We provide assistance with textbooks, so where students need to buy textbooks. And this applies to any students, regardless of their status in the city, whether they're DACA students or New York resident students. So we don't ask for those particular logistics. We just want to make sure that they residents of New York City. And maybe Irene Delgado VP Delgado would like to elaborate more on the success of ASAP.
Well, one of the greatest things about ASAP is that our graduation rates are so much higher when a student participates in ASAP, because what happens is that the student is making a contract with their academic advisor that I promise you I'm going to talk to you every month that I'm here. And I'm going to make sure that I also speak to a career counselor from the very beginning of my academic career and my educational career, because many times a student comes into a college and they're not sure what they want to do. Some students know right from the jump, they're like, I want to become a nurse. So they know that it's all about nursing. But other students walk through our doors and they say, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. And in that regard, working with an ASAP advisor, we sit down and we talk about, well, what are your strengths? What are your skill sets? What do you like to do? What do you have an aptitude for? And then we're going to pair you up with a career counselor to make sure that we are already starting to work on a resume from the first day you are putting your foot in the door in the classroom. So there's always this matchup of having an advisor who's really going to get to know you personally, and what are your challenges and what are your strengths and what's happening at home, because it's not just the student of, getting an A and a B, but what is happening at home. Do they have Wi-Fi? Do they have a laptop? Do they have brothers and sisters that they have to worry about? Are they working a part-time job? And what are the support services that we can give to the student? And that's where the ASAP program comes in, because that academic advisor is going to make sure that where they need help, we're going to give that support.
Thank you so much. And then the last thing that I wanted to close off on this section with is your tuition rates, and how does that also play into, I know that in New Jersey we have the community college opportunity grant. So is there something similar in New York where if you're under a certain threshold, you can get coverage as a New York resident?
Well, our tuition is so low that most students, 80% of our students get full financial aid, whether that be TAP, Pell, or FESOG. I can't remember the letters of how that one works. We also have the Excelsior Scholarship, which is happened under Governor Cuomo. So if there are any extra dollars that come in, the student can get that as a book advance. ASAP also covers tuition and fees and book money and Metro cards. We also have a huge array of scholarships that students can are made available to. So there is a lot of money to be out there, and our students usually do not have to go into their pocket. And of course, part of that comes with the burden of the student having skin in the game, that they're passing their classes.
Yeah.
So it's always going to be a partnership with our students. It's not one-sided. It's not like, oh, here's money and you're not responsible. The student has skin in the game, which then makes them more successful because they know they have to deliver.
Yeah, and just to add to Dr. Delgado's remarks, Sylvia, if you don't mind, just to give you an idea, as she indicated, more than 80% of our students are receiving financial aid, and more than 77% of our student demographic come from household income of less than $15,000. So you're talking about one of the communities that need it the most. So obviously, I want to say thank you to all the members, all the council members that help us to get some grants and help us to get some money, some donations, and all the donors that help us to help students to pay for their tuition. So we understand that in these particular moments where jobs, people have lost their jobs, our donors and our freeholders and council members, Fernando Cabrera, Gibson, and so forth, are always very proactive in helping us. And our foundation, thanks to the leadership of BP Eddie Bayardell, is very active to help students to cover some of this costs.
I'd like to also mention that if we were not in COVID, we have an extensive work study program where we employ over 300 students to work on campus, and they earn a paycheck for themselves. So they can spend a whole day on campus and go to class, work in an office, go back to class, go to the library, work in an office. And many times we try to partner a student with their skill set of what they might want to learn. So for many times for example, in many cases, we might have a student who's doing work study who is an accounting major. Well, let's have them working in payroll so they can start to understand and see firsthand how a payroll office works. There are other ways that students not get money, but save money. We have an incredible award-winning early child care center where 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, and 4-year-olds are getting their own education, and their parents are students of the school. So a student doesn't have to worry about finding childcare and spending thousands of dollars a month on having their small children taken care of. They will bring them to the campus, and their children will get their own age-appropriate education and breakfast and lunch and dinner, depending on how long their child is in the early child care center.
And just to add up, Sylvia, if you don't mind, I know that we talked briefly about ASAP, but I want to say thank you through this particular channel to Council Member Cabrera and Gibson for helping us to secure $20 million in funding for ASAP. And this goes back to what BP Delgado was mentioning, all the extra help that students get by being an ASAP student. More than 50% of our student body population are ASAP recipient. So we're very excited about that. And I would like just to close that in April 21st, 2020, ASAP was awarded we won the prestigious Innovation in American Government Award from Harvard's John F. Kennedy School of Government. And we were very excited about that. And we will also feature in The Economist, stating that ASAP is as important as social mobility and diversity and inclusion. So having said that, thank you so much.
That's absolutely great. Thank you so much. I understand that what you've explained before already with the information that you've shared is so rewarding for our students who are in this process. They're navigating it, and they're navigating it with the circumstances that we're dealing with now. So the amount of support that your institution can provide them is absolutely amazing. And I am so happy to have you all in the panel today. We'll be going to the questions later that might be specific to BCC, and then we'll be introducing Dr. Marcio now.
Thank you. And I want to say thank you, if you don't mind, Sylvia, David, David and Viviana, for taking your time. This shows your leadership, your commitment to diversity, inclusion, and to social mobility. I know that there can be a lot of things that we can be doing right now, especially at 7, almost 8 p.m. And I want to congratulate and commend you for your tenacity. You guys are trailblazers to me, and keep up with the good work. We need more Latinos and Latinas and women in this leadership role. So thank you. You have my highest remarks and admiration.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lester, for joining us.
My pleasure.
And thank you very much, Dr. Rapallo and Dr. Delgado as well. Well, as the old saying goes, the show must go on. So with that, I should also remind our audience tonight that we have faculty from both New Jersey and New York. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments section on the bottom of our video, whether you're watching this on Facebook or on YouTube. And also, in case you do not see the institution or the college that you're trying to apply to, definitely contact that university and that college and ask them the same question, which may apply different for your situation. So without further ado, our next guest is a tenured associate professor at the Frank Guarini School of Business at St. Peter's University, having joined the faculty in 2014. So in her role as associate professor, she has worked with students studying in all areas of business management, ethics, marketing, and sustainability. She's also the former director of the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at St. Peter's University, reporting directly to the president. So in 2019, she was elected the president of the American Association of University Professors, with her term having started in the fall of 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Marilu
Thank you so
Marcillo.
much, Juventud Ecuatoriana. I am so glad to be here with you guys today, and I'm a very proud Ecuadorian American, having been born in Ecuador and came to this country with my green card in 1970. So I have celebrated this year in October, my 50th anniversary of my arrival to this country. So I say that as a background because I know that many of you out there who are watching us tonight are probably wondering, how is this possible? And I really want to just mention the fact that I always look at the situation or where I stand today, and I think about the fact that there go I, but for the grace of God. So as those students who are watching us today and thinking about the possibility of going to college and thinking about all the different difficulties that they have had to confront and are confronting currently because of COVID, that this is in fact possible. Because when I think about my own rise, my own trajectory, you would think that accomplishing this goal and having a PhD is impossible, and especially for someone where English was a second language. So I think it's important, and I am going to talk about St. Peter's University and the admissions process, but I do want to highlight, and I want to make the point that it's important for everyone to understand that this possibility of going to college is available to all of us, that it is not something that is only for some, that we are all entitled to this. And really, it requires work and determination, but at the end of the day, we can all accomplish it. And I say that because I believe in this motto, and David, you reminded me of this yesterday, right? And I have brought this up before, right? This idea of what I believe to be the formula for life success, and it's 1 + X = Y. And the 1 is all the things that you can't control. So your parents lacking in education. My parents only had a 2nd and 3rd grade education. They never spoke English. I lived in a really poor neighborhood in New York City, where there were drugs and shootouts, and really it was a violent place. My parents were very stable, but my household was very stable, but the outside world was not. And school for me, honestly, was a salvation. And then the X is you, is ultimately you in terms of a person, in terms of what you can accomplish. And you can't change one. One is not the thing you can actually change, right? You can't control one, all those things that are happening to us, COVID, we can't control that. What we can do though, is we can control ourselves and how we react to the things that are happening. So when I realized that I was growing up in a neighborhood that was really not the best of environments for me to be enriched, I realized that I had to put forth my own effort, my own determination. And I was very fortunate because I had a number of teachers and mentors who guided me through that process, that although my parents loved me very much, they could not provide the type of support that I needed. And I know that that's a common experience for a lot of Latinos and a lot of Ecuadorians, because your parents don't know the steps that it would require for you to apply to college, to pay for college, to stay in college, the type of support that you're going to need. So you absolutely need a support system, whether that is an aunt, an uncle, a teacher, a priest, or someone else who can help you. It's important to look for that type of guidance. And part of the reason that I'm an educator today is because I believe that I am paying it forward in the same way that I had some excellent educators in the New York City publicly helped to get me to where I am today. I believe that I am paying it forward by being a mentor to my own students. St. Peter's is 50% Latinos. Many of them are first generation college students like myself. We have 20% Black students, and then the remainder are Asian and white combination. And so obviously we have a very diverse environment at St. Peter's. We're a Hispanic serving institution in New Jersey and the only Jesuit Catholic university in the state of New Jersey. So those are all unique things that I'm going to speak about as to why that's important in a second. But as going back to this equation, I just want to remind you, you do not control what happens on the outside. There's so many factors you cannot control. You can control yourself. I made a decision that I wanted my outcome to be different than that of my parents. I did not want to be like them, right? I didn't want to be poor. I didn't want to be uneducated. I wanted to have a different life. And so the outcome was up to me. I made the decision that I was going to focus on the things that I could control. And that was my determination, my hard work, taking opportunities when they came, not let fear get in the way, because ultimately sometimes we are very afraid. And for me, being a daughter to Ecuadorian parents, my parents did not want me to go away to college. I got a 4-year academic scholarship to go to a private university, and my parents refused to let me go. So I went against their wishes, and they regretted that decision later when they realized that it was the best decision that I could have made for myself. But they did not support that decision. And I bring that up not because I want to shame my parents. I love my parents dearly, and they are now gone. I wish they were here with me still today. But oftentimes our parents can be very myopic, very closed-minded, and they didn't want to stop me from going to college. They were just afraid of what might happen if I left home, because it meant I was going away to college 8 hours away from home, and they wanted to protect me. And it was that fear of what might happen to me if I left home, which is very common in our Latino community. And so my parents really wanted to just protect me. But I understood that this was an opportunity of a lifetime. And when an opportunity comes knocking, you literally have to open that door and cross it, even if you have fear, even if you're afraid, because ultimately it could make the biggest difference in your life, which it did for me. It ultimately changed the trajectory of my life, and it changed the life that I've been able to provide, not only for my parents, but also for my children. Now, going back to St. Peter's, and of course, we are a small Jesuit university in the state of New Jersey. We're about 10 minutes from New York City via the PATH train. As I said to you before, we're a Hispanic serving institution. We have about 2,500 students that range from undergraduate all the way to graduate PhD levels. We have a school of nursing, a school of education. We have programs in STEM. We have a school of business. We have a number of articulation agreements with a number of schools, with pretty much all of the community colleges in the state of New Jersey. And of course, we also have agreements with other schools for law school and engineering and so forth. So we do offer a number of programs as the Dr. Rapalos spoke about some of the programs that are offered at Bronx Community College. We also have a number of programs that support our Latino community students and our minority students. We have the TRIO program. We have a program specifically in STEM. We have a multi-million-dollar grant where we provide specific help to students who are interested in the sciences. So science, technology, and math. We don't have engineering at St. Peter's, but we do have those other areas. We often do work with our students in doing research, and as a matter of fact, it is one of the things that we pride ourselves in doing because we are a small university and we do not have a large institution. We're on a 30-acre campus in an urban environment of Jersey City, but oftentimes you really don't feel like you're in an urban environment. And we do have a small student to teacher ratio, which means that I do get an opportunity to get to know my students on a personal level, that I do get to mentor them and do get to advise them. And I think representation absolutely matters. I think it's important for me to serve as a role model to these other Latino students and other minority students, because I want them to understand that anything that they want to achieve is possible. It's all a matter of the determination and finding someone who can help to champion you, because that social capital is very important. And oftentimes, because our parents lack the education, they do not have the social capital that you may need, that wealthy children have, whose parents are vice presidents or directors and therefore can place them in job positions. You don't have that. I didn't have that. So it's really important to have mentors. It's really important to have a career planning service office, which we do as well. We've been working and we're currently working with a number of different outside organizations for paid internships for our students. As a matter of fact, we're about to launch one relationship that we've developed so that our students will have paid internships in the federal government in areas of business and technology. We do have a data science degree, both at the undergraduate and graduate level. And as I said, you know, it's a plethora of different types of abilities to learn pretty much anything. We have a school of liberal arts. So if you're interested in English and philosophy, in economics, in history, in any of these, you know, social science courses, sociology, we have those as well. And we do work with our students so that they can be prepared. And oftentimes, because we have a number of students who are coming from poor areas, poor in terms of their educational training, we do have preparation courses to help them so that they can then be able to adapt to the college environment and be successful academically. Because ultimately what we want is not just to get them through the door, is we want them to graduate. We want them to have successful jobs and careers in their field. And so ultimately that is the service that we provide. As a Jesuit Catholic university, you do have to take courses in theology and you have to take courses in philosophy. Those are obligatory as part of what we have to do. But I think that those courses are important. And I think in the world that we live in today, where oftentimes we don't worry about our brothers and sisters, having an institution that has its Catholic foundation is about ultimately caring for our brothers and sisters and ensuring that we're taking care not only of our students and giving them the best education possible, but also making sure that our students understand that they have to pay it forward, that we live a life of service for others. And that's really important to us. That is at the core of who we are. That is part of the mission that we have to serve. So we also have a soup kitchen on campus. Our students can volunteer. We provide food to the community. We provide all sorts of different types of services, different types of organizations that we run to help people in the community. I'm part of a board of directors for the Linda organization, and through the Linda organization, which is affiliated with St. Peter's, we provide clothing, we provide resume writing to women who have been abused and incarcerated and are coming out of incarceration. So this idea of service, this idea of giving back is central to who we are and to our identity as a Catholic Jesuit university. And we are the only Catholic Jesuit university in the state of New Jersey. Fordham University, which some of you probably are very familiar with, is another Jesuit Catholic university, and that's in the state of New York. So I say all of this because I think having this foundation of your religious values as part of your education, I think is very central. So for those parents who are thinking about, you know, this blending and how do we do it, you know, I would encourage you to come and visit us. I think it's really important for you guys to understand who we are, and you can't do that until you actually take a visit to the university. We currently have virtual visits, so I encourage you to apply through the Common application. The Common app is the first step towards getting your foot in the door, and 99% of our full-time students have some type of financial aid. They get covered most of their, it's either state aid, federal aid, or private aid. We also have the Center for Undocumented Students. I'm the advisory chair for the Center for Undocumented Students, and that is there to provide help and assistance, because of course they're not eligible for federal financial aid. So of course, if you're a DACA student and you're thinking of applying, please make sure to contact us. Do not fill out the electronic application. Contact us so that you can fill out a paper application, and we'll explain to you why we would want you to do that. And outside of that, let me see what I can tell you. We obviously, one of the biggest things that we have in terms of athletics, right? We have 110 full-time faculty and 187 part-time faculty. 86% of our full-time faculty hold doctoral degrees like myself, and 93% of us are tenured or are on a tenured track. We do have, as I said, a school of nursing, a school of education. So if you want to be a teacher, we're one of those programs that you can come to. We have a school of business where we have accountancy, finance, communications, cybersecurity, data science, data analytics, public administration. We have, as I said, undergraduate, graduate, and doctoral degrees. And as I said, in terms of financial aid, 99% of our full-time undergraduate students get some form of academic need-based or athletic grants. The average financial aid package is more than $34,000. We do also have Pell Grants and so forth. And one of our distinguished alumni, of course, you know, we have many in that sense, right? It is really about the idea, again, of service. And so Senator Menendez is one of our distinguished alumni, and of course, he does believe in this idea of service. As you know, he graduated from St. Peter's College when we were St. Peter's College, and today we're St. Peter's University. He is a proud alumni of St. Peter's, and we have many other alumni who continue to give back and devote their time and money and effort to help us be successful. We are facing a crisis today, as are all universities, with decreased enrollment across the board because of COVID. So I encourage you strongly to apply. This is not a time to sit back. We do have in-housing for those who want to live on campus. We offer that opportunity, and we also do offer financial aid for on-campus housing. So I strongly encourage you, for those of you who are in New York and are thinking, well, I don't want to leave home, New Jersey is not that far. We are literally 10 minutes by train from New York City. And so depending on what the train ride is, if you're in Queens or in the Bronx or in Brooklyn, to get into Manhattan, that's the distance that you'll have to travel. But it's a world away, and it's an opportunity of a lifetime that we will change your lives. You will come out of St. Peter's being a totally different person, in the same way that I came out of my undergraduate degree a totally different person, having grown, having changed, having learned so much. St. Peter's really prides itself in this idea of social justice, and we do believe that wholeheartedly, and that is why we often do contribute in all different types of ways to help benefit not only our communities, but also children. In terms of middle school kids, we volunteer our time, we host summer sessions for kids at the high schools in Hudson County and in the middle school as well, because again, this idea of service is part of who we are and the thread and the fabric of who we are as an institution. So if you're really interested in not just getting an education, but also thinking about the importance of giving back, we are the institution of choice, and we're not that far away from New York City. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marcia, for explaining everything that is the opportunities related to St. Peter's University. I understand that we definitely will have other questions later on at the end, especially regarding the fact that there's a Center for Undocumented Students. And so there will be a good amount of our actual audience who is interested in asking, especially parents of students who are going to be applying this year and interested in how to navigate that process, considering there's a center related to that information. So thank you so much. I know that my colleagues are also very grateful that you're here and that you've been supporting us for how long. And yeah, we'll be continuing this.
I only have one question for Dr. Marcio. Having heard you tell the story of St. Peter's University as a person who is not a resident of the state of New Jersey, and in case anyone else is wondering, because St. Peter sounds like an awesome school that I might want to go to in the future. I know that state aid will not apply to like myself because I don't live in New Jersey, but what would federal aid apply, or what other financial aid could apply in my situation?
Absolutely. So first, our tuition is the same whether you're in state or out of state. So in a lot of places in New York, for example, if you're out of state, if you're from New Jersey or Pennsylvania or Connecticut and you go to school in New York State, they often charge you a different tuition. But at St. Peter's University, our tuition is the same. So that's one of the things. The other part, and I'll talk about the type of aid, is that at St. Peter's University, you can take anywhere from 4 to 6 courses a semester, right? At the same price for 4. So your tuition is for 4 classes, but if you decide to take 6, that is still at the same price for those 4 that you already paid for. So it makes a lot of sense for our students who come in, whose financial aid has already paid for those 4 courses, to take 6 and be able to graduate perhaps with a major and a minor. And you could have multiple minors if you want. In terms of the type of aid, if you're out of state, you still qualify for a number of different things. So there's need-based aid, and there's also academic aid, and then there's athletic, right? So if you're an athlete, if you play soccer, if you play baseball, if you play basketball, we're an NCAA Division I school. So we have a number of different types of scholarships for athletics, but we also have private scholarships that are offered to students based on their academic performance. And then, of course, there's federal financial aid that you can apply for. There's loans, there's a Pell Grant. Even if you cannot get state aid from New Jersey, you would still be eligible for a number of other types of financial aid, so that the tuition that you're paying is far less than maybe you would pay if you were going to a New York State school.
Thank you very much, and again, thank you very much to you, Dr. Marcio, and also St. Peter's for your time.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
So once again, everyone, if you have any questions, please feel free to write them in the comments section. We will be having a question and answer session at the very end of this broadcast. En caso si alguien de ustedes tiene preguntas, por favor, escríbelo en la sección de comentarios donde está el video. Vamos a tener una sesión de preguntas y respuestas al fin de este video. And without further ado, our next guest is here to talk about admissions into our community college. Now, community colleges are very important because it is definitely a way, if you do not feel confident in applying to a four-year college, it's definitely the way to go. And I actually recommend the best way to go, personally speaking, even though I did not go to a community college, because so much can happen in those 2 years that you can get an associate's degree, and you could go a lot farther than someone who went to a 4-year. So without further ado, our next guest is Diana Galvez from the Student Development Associate in Enrollment Services at Hudson County Community College.
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy that you guys have me here tonight. I'm here to talk about Hudson County Community College. Yo estoy aquí esta noche para hablar sobre Hudson County Community College. Yo me llamo Diana Galvez. Yo soy la asociada del desarrollo estudiantil at Hudson. In order for me to give you a better understanding of what Hudson is all about, I want to share with you guys a little bit about my story. So, para que ustedes entiendan más o menos cómo es el colegio de Hudson, quiero compartir con ustedes un poco de mi historia. So, I was born in Dominican Republic. Yo nací en la República Dominicana. I came to this country when I was 4 years old, and my whole education has been in part of the American education system. I actually, straight out of high school, went to a 4-year school. And during my junior year, I became a mom and couldn't do the whole living on campus thing. So I decided to commute. After a little while, I realized that commuting to school, which took me a 2-hour trip, was a little bit rigorous. And I dropped out of college. I remember I was working at a department store when I was offered a job working for Hudson County Community College over 6 years ago. And I started working there, and I was a front desk assistant for admissions, and just interacting with the students was all the determination and inspiration I needed. So I decided to enroll in Hudson. And one of the things that we like to say at Hudson is that Hudson is a family. So I am a product of Hudson County Community College. I graduated magna cum laude in 2017. I transferred to NJCU, where I completed my bachelor's in sociology and anthropology this January 31st, 2020, after I came back from an observational study in India. So Hudson opened a lot of doors for me, where in a time in my life where I thought that there were no doors able for me to walk through. I want to share a little bit with you guys in a presentation that I made. Give me 1 second. Here we go. So, bienvenidos todos. Yo le voy a hablar un poco sobre Hudson County y cómo pueden aplicar a Hudson. Uno de los conceptos, one of the concepts that we use at Hudson is el concepto de focus. Focus es an acronym, un acrónimo, yo creo que dije eso bien, que explica más o menos exactamente en lo que nosotros enfocamos como una escuela. So, first and foremost, we have a flexible learning environment. Tenemos un ambiente de aprendizaje flexible. Our classes are in the morning, evening, nights, weekends. We have online, we have in-person, we have remote. Tenemos un horario flexible. Si ustedes trabajan por el día, tenemos clases de la noche. Si trabajan por la noche, tenemos clases en el día, los fines de semana, etc. Tenemos programas académicos impresionables. One of the things that I love to rant about is the fact that our culinary program is this number 6 in the country. Our nursing students, 93.75% of them passed the nursing accreditation exam on their first try. That makes our nursing program top 10% in the country. We have cost-effective education. Cuando ustedes van a un colegio de 4 años, esto es mayormente por las personas que viven en la situación económica, especialmente durante el COVID. One of the things I love to tell my students is that your first year of college, you're usually concentrating on your general education courses, las matemáticas, inglés, psicología, las ciencias. Esos son clases de educación general. When you're taking those courses, it's always best to do it at a community college because you're saving money. And a 4-year school, a full-time semester, 12 credits, you're going to be spending anywhere between $6,000 to $7,000 in Jersey. When you go to a community college, our tuition for a semester, 12 credits, 4 classes, is $2,400. So almost half of what you would pay at a 4-year university. So that's one of the things that I like to tell students to keep in mind when they're thinking about college and weighing in the pros and cons of 4-year institutions as opposed to 2-year institutions. We have unlimited transfer and career opportunities. We have a lot of partnerships with our sister colleges, our senior colleges, such as St. Peter's, NJCU, Kane University, Rutgers, Montclair. These colleges actually come to our school every semester and do instant decision days, where they sit down with graduating students, go over their transcripts and their resumes, and let them know right there on the spot if they got accepted. They don't have to pay the application fee for the 4-year institution, and they get any answers that they have about the institution answered from a recruiter. And of course, our support and student services is one of the best. That's what makes you feel like you're in a family at Hudson. I work with over 7 different departments. I'm also an instructor, so I do teach courses at Hudson. I'm currently teaching college student success. It's a course that helps students transition into college and educate them on what this social safety net that we have within our institution that helps them navigate college life. We have programs like Hudson Helps, which helps students get all the social welfare that they might be eligible for, such as Medicaid, Urban League, food stamps, etc. We have 2 food pantries, one in our main campus, which is the Jersey City campus, and the other one is the North Hudson campus, which is in Union City. We have programs that assist students when they are in a bind. For example, we had a student that couldn't make it to class because his car broke down. So he came into our offices, asked for support, and we gave him the money he needed to pay the mechanic so he could finish the semester, and he was able to enroll for the next semester. So we do believe in having this environment of a family and supporting our students and guiding them into success. And I'm an example of that. Esto lo voy a decir en español e inglés. Este es el proceso para inscripción. Es bien fácil. Solamente tienen que ir a la aplicación hcc.edu/apply. Llena una aplicación. Ahora mismo tenemos un código de promoción que es HC y el número 3, y no tiene que pagar los $25. So we have a promo code HC3, and you don't have to pay the $25 application fee. Once you've applied, you're going to get an email with your student ID number. Cuando apliquen y la aplicación esté procesada, le van a mandar un correo electrónico con su número estudiantil. A obtener ese número estudiantil, pueden contactar el departamento de exámenes para que ustedes puedan hacer el placement test. So once you have your student ID number, you're going to contact the testing department and you're going to get placed. We have 3 different forms of placement right now. We have the placement test itself, which you can take in person or online. We have a directed self-placement where a student takes a questionnaire and they decide with a representative what is the best academic level for them to start their studies. And finally, we have exemptions. So if a student scores a certain grade on the SATs, if they have their GEDs, and their high school transcripts are all indicators of their placement in college, so that we can exempt them from taking the placement test and place them based off those scores. Después de coger el examen de entrada y saber en qué nivel ustedes van a empezar, nosotros siempre le recomendamos a los estudiantes que hagan una solicitud de la ayuda financiera. Once you finish your placement, we always ask students to do their financial aid. Este concepto es porque la ayuda financiera no puede ser procesada finalmente hasta que ustedes se registren. So, si no tienen una aplicación en el sistema que tiene su social security number, no, they don't link. The financial aid application and it within our system doesn't link. So, si tienen alguna pregunta de cómo es el proceso de aplicar para un colegio, siempre llenen una solicitud para el colegio primero, antes de llenar una ayuda financiera, para que cuando llenen la ayuda financiera se pueda procesar más rápido. También tenemos una lista de becas que ofrecemos. Pueden ir al www.hcc.edu/scholarships. El enlace está ahí mismo, abajo del número 3, a donde pueden ver una lista de becas que ofrecen en el estado de Nueva Jersey, y también las 2 becas que ofrecemos en nuestras escuelas. Hudson has 2 scholarships, the Foundation Scholarship and the Government Scholarship, that help students that don't qualify for financial aid pay for their semester. The Foundation Scholarship is year-long, and the Government Scholarship is every semester. Después de llenar la ayuda financiera, pueden ver el horario que desean para el semestre. Ahí está el enlace para poder hacer eso. Y finalmente hacen una cita con un asesor académico para que se registren para el próximo semestre. Como estamos en el tiempo de COVID, le ofrecemos a los estudiantes diferentes formas para poder hacer la cita. Puede hacerlo en persona o remotamente. So no tiene que venir al campamento si no se siente seguro. You don't have to come to campus if you don't feel safe coming into campus to do your registration. You can always go to www.hccc.edu admissions for more information on what the admissions process is. Como les estaba diciendo, nosotros ofrecemos horario flexible, y una de esas cosas es la forma en que nosotros enseñamos en el tiempo de COVID. So for the fall semester and now for the spring, we offer courses in 3 different formats. Online, which is traditionally online, you don't meet up with the professor, you don't get a lecture, you just make sure that you complete your assignments by the due date. There's on-ground, in-person courses where you come onto campus and you have a regular course schedule, or you could do it remotely where you have a set schedule and you have your lecture via WebEx or Zoom. So tenemos las 3 diferentes formas de coger clases. Por línea, que es tradicionalmente, ustedes hacen sus tareas en su tiempo, al horario que le prefiere a ustedes. Solamente tienen que asegurarse que entreguen el trabajo cuando when it's due. Después tenemos clases presencialmente, a donde ustedes vienen al campamento para poder coger sus cursos. Y remotamente es cuando tienen un horario fijo, pero tienen que ir a clases virtualmente por Zoom o Webex, que son programas de videoconferencia. Muchos de ustedes, especialmente si están en Nueva Jersey, han oído, hopefully, del Community College Opportunity Grant, la beca de las oportunidades del colegio comunitario. Nuestro gobernador Murphy en el 2018 anunció esta nueva beca. Usualmente son para las familias que hacen menos de $65,000 al año, y it's a final dollar scholarship. So once your financial aid goes through, if anything that the financial aid doesn't cover, the state government will cover. Obviamente hay elegibilidades para esto. Pueden llamar el 201-714-7200 para más información, o mandar un correo electrónico al freetuition@hcc.edu. Y finalmente, aquí está la información de mi contacto. Me pueden mandar un correo electrónico o llamarme. You can send me an email or call me. I'm always available. Yo siempre estoy disponible. Siempre estoy dispuesta a ayudar. Yo trabajo con 7, 8 diferentes departamentos. So, tengo mucha información para compartir sobre Hudson y cualquier dilema que tenga o inquietud. So, siéntase cómodos haciéndome cualquier pregunta.
Diana, thank you so much. Your passion is contagious. I know that Tajal is also in the comments, and she's also answering some of the questions that some of our viewers are having. So we thank you so much for participating. I wanted to ask one of the questions that I know is on people's minds as well, and this can also be answered in Spanish too, is your community college also offers an ESL program, right? What is the requirement for if a person who's interested in, they just came from another country and they don't know what the residency requirements, eligibility requirements for that, entering that and leveling with TOEFL, how does that timeline look like?
Okay. So I'm going to be realistic with you guys. Voy a ser bien honesta con ustedes. Nosotros tenemos un programa de inglés como segunda lengua del nivel del 0 al 4. Usualmente ese programa it compromises, tienes que coger 4 diferentes clases, y las 4 clases vienen en par. So, estás cogiendo clases de gramática con escritura, que es un par, no puedes coger una sin la otra, y después tienes clases de literatura con discusión académica, y haces los 5 niveles del 0 al 4 cogiendo esas clases solamente. No estás cogiendo clases de carrera o nada, porque quieren que te concentres en aprender el idioma, porque las clases de carrera son completamente en inglés. So, para poder funcionar académicamente en esas clases de carrera tienes que entender el inglés académicamente. Y digo académicamente porque sí tenemos un programa de ESL que es inglés solamente, sin crédito, es menos costoso, pero me gusta describirlo como un programa para poder defenderte en el idioma de inglés. So, si hay padres aquí hoy que están oyendo este video, ustedes pueden también inscribirse en Hudson. Bienvenidos. Solamente porque son padres no significa que no todavía tienen la oportunidad de aprender. Y el programa de inglés sin carrera es para poder defenderte y social en el idioma. Académicamente, que es parte de nuestro programa de carrera, es más intensivo porque tienes que aprender a leer y escribir académicamente, APA format y todo eso. So, cuando el estudiante llega a nivel 3 es cuando nosotros sentimos que se sienten más cómodos con el idioma y le ofrecemos la oportunidad de coger clases de carrera como psicología y matemáticas y sociología, más o menos. So it's restricted. Tienes restricciones en cuál clases puedes coger, pero te dan esa oportunidad. Al llegar al nivel 4, coges un examen de salida y lo pasas y después piensas tus clases de carrera, que vienen más o menos con la educación general. El programa de ESL sí está ahí. Tienes diferentes oportunidades. Cuando vienes de fuera del país, si algunas veces me siento con los estudiantes y les explico la diferencia, cuando uno con carrera estás pagando $2,000, más o menos $2,500 al semestre por 4 clases por 15 semanas. Y eso significa que estás haciendo 12 horas de inglés como segunda lengua cada semana por 15 semanas un semestre. El otro es 4 horas a la semana por 10 semanas. El costo es $299 porque es sin crédito. El que es con crédito, que es ESL con carrera, sí tiene ayuda financiera, si eres elegible. Sí, porque es clase con crédito, puedes coger ayuda financiera en eso. Si acabas de llegar al país, no estoy muy segura de cuánto tiempo tienes que estar aquí para cualificar para la ayuda financiera estatal, porque una cosa que tienes que entender que es ayuda financiera federal y estatal. Son dos diferentes ayudas y 2 diferentes aplicaciones. Any other?
Yes, thank you so much. And I also want to reiterate too that with community colleges, a lot of students sometimes they tend to think about going to 4-year institutions, which are great, but what ends up happening is that we forget that there's all these honors programs.
Yes.
There's also PTK, these institutions, and you can also qualify for Jack and Cook scholarships, and so all these type of opportunities that can lead you to stand out as a student, especially if you're not so sure, or you want to have a lower cost at your education, or you just need that timeline, those 2 years to kind of put yourself out and really just map out how you're going to do it. Definitely know that HECC is a great PTK institution, so they're very involved in everything. And so thank you, Diana, for joining us. I will have that section at the end. We have one more guest speaker, and then I know that there's a couple other people who were asking questions too.
Okay.
Again, thank you very much, Diana, for explaining the whole process with Hudson Community College. And again, any questions you may have, please write them in our comment section. We will be answering them during our questions and answers session. Cualquier pregunta que tiene, por favor, escríbalo en los comentarios. Vamos a darle respuesta al fin del video. So without further ado, our next guest is Dr. Jonathan Mercantini, the Dean of the College of Liberal Arts from Kane University.
Good evening, everybody, and
Hello,
thanks so much. Yeah, thanks so much to you all for having me here. I'm proud to represent Kane University. Certainly excited to share the opportunities at Kane. It's really been fascinating for me to listen to my colleagues from St. Peter's, from Hudson County College, and from Bronx Community College as well. So much great work being done with diverse, underrepresented students in this space, and happy that Kane's able to play a small part of that. Like St. Peter's, you heard, Kane is a Hispanic serving institution where about 28% of our students are Latinx, come from Latinx backgrounds. About 20% are African American or designated themselves as Black. About 20% Asian and 25% white. So we are one of the most diverse 4-year colleges in the university or in the country. We've been recognized by some national publications for that, and we're one of the top 50 ranked U.S. News and World Report schools for social mobility. And so Kane is a great place to really start your career and thinking about what you want to do. Kane is a full comprehensive university. So we have programs in the liberal arts, which is my college, which includes social sciences, sociology, psychology, political science, history, which is what my background is in, English, our communications school, which has programs in journalism, media and film, public relations. And then we also have our fine and performing arts, so music majors, dance majors, fine and studio art majors available. And that's just in my college. We also have the full range of science programs, chemistry, physics, biology. We have the New Jersey Center for Science, Technology, and Mathematics, so advanced level science programming there as well, both undergraduate and graduate. We have our College of Business, which I'm sorry to say has slightly grown larger than the College of Liberal Arts, but accounting programs, finance programs, they got a brand new building that opened in June. They've, of course, only been able to skim the surface of what that can do with those fast growing programs in business areas. And then Kean is also still the largest producer of teachers in the state of New Jersey. Kean actually started over 150 years ago as a normal school, which means that it was producing teachers. And Kean is, as you know, we're still very much rooted in that space. And so whether you want to be an elementary school teacher or a high school teacher, we have those programs as well. You know, like all my colleagues here have talked about, we have EOF, so Equal Opportunity Fund programs, which provide additional financial support and also academic support. There's a summer boot camp program. So if you were to come in as an EOF student, you would actually take 2 classes with us over the summer. And we've seen that really works well to help students get acclimated to doing college level work, get you a jump start on getting that education going. And there's financial support that goes along with that as well. We have a full range of ESL classes, so everything from very introductory level, if you're coming in with not even a rudimentary understanding of English, all the way up to just needing to get a little bit of polish on your English language skills so that you're comfortable learning in an English environment. In addition to those strict ESL classes, we do have a Spanish-speaking classes. So many of our courses at the intro level are intro history course, intro political science course, intro philosophy course, intro communications course. I think there's a psychology and sociology courses as well, are offered in Spanish. So you can't get a full degree of completing all of your courses in coursework in Spanish. But we do offer those courses that, again, make sure that you're gaining credit, you're acquiring credit, you're advancing towards your goal and our shared goal of you graduating, of course, while you're enhancing your English skills and also comfortable in Spanish language skills. So again, these are all ways that that Kean really is dedicated to student success. We have a new president, Dr. Lamont Repillette, who had previously been the Secretary of Education for the state of New Jersey, and he has made a real commitment to academic excellence at Kean and also to diversity at Kean. So we have a diversity hiring initiative that's just getting underway for our faculty to further diversify our faculty and to ensure that our faculty reflects and mirrors the students that we are teaching, and that's super important. To all of us, certainly something that is first and foremost when we're doing our hiring, and we have this new initiative to reinforce that. We do have out-of-state scholarships as well. So obviously, as a state institution, the in-state tuition rate is lower if you're a New Jersey state resident. But if you are someone, we get a lot of students from Staten Island. We're actually closer to Staten Island than Manhattan is, and it's easier to get to us from Staten Island. And so we have a number of scholarships available. There's a new out-of-state scholarship that was just launched that is $4,000 a year. Basically makes it balances out the out-of-state cost. So you're basically paying in-state tuition cost if you're eligible for that scholarship. We have a number of opportunity scholarships that have been launched over the last couple of years for students, again, all aimed at reducing the cost of college and the net cost that you're paying. We're super aware of the increase in college debt, both nationally, but here in New Jersey as well. I've actually written an op-ed that was published over the summer on newjersey.com that was talking about the need to increase state funding for higher education, something that I passionately believe in. But Kean is doing its own part through the good use of the tuition dollars that we do get, through taking advantage of opportunities for state money when we have that. And also then using the fundraising arm of our Kane Foundation, which I just had a meeting with them recently, and they've had a record year for raising money to support student scholarships and other initiatives on campus. We do have on-campus housing available. Our dorms this past semester were at 50% capacity, so making accommodations for COVID, but also recognizing that there are students who want that residential academic experience. And quite honestly, some of our students are in need of housing. We know that we have food insecurity and even housing insecurity among our community. And so we made sure to safely reopen our dorms to meet the needs of those students, as well as students who just wanted a more traditional residential experience. And so that opportunity is available, and we do launch learning communities as well. So you might live on a floor or in a wing of a dorm with students with whom you're taking a couple of your classes with. Not all of your classes, but maybe a couple of your classes. We have one right now that I initiated for our honor students. None of them had the residential component this semester just because of the limitations that we have, but it's something that we've done in the past and that we'll be doing in the future. Another aspect, and there are some financial advantages to starting your education at a county college, a community college. So we're about 55% first-time full-time freshmen, so students that are joining us coming right out of high school. But about 45% of our students are transfer students. So sometimes that means they're later in life learners who are coming back, but a lot of times that's students who might be like some of you, attend a community college, maybe one of our partners here today, and then are transferring to complete their bachelor's degree at a school like Kane. And so we have a transition to Kane course and a transfer to Kane course, one credit that you take that just helps you get acclimated to life at Kane. But we really succeed with our transfer students as well as with our first-time full-time freshmen. And Kane has, our new president has made a point to emphasize research. Kane is going to try and advance to the next university designation that we can get. In academic parlance, it's called R2. But that just means that we're increasing the research profile of our faculty, but also of our students at Kane. So one thing that we're real proud of is our University Research Days, which is 3 days in late April, so towards the end of the academic year, where students that have been completing their research projects over the course of the semester, maybe even over the course of the year, present out, whether it's a poster, a panel presentation, a roundtable discussion, a video. There's opportunity for creative work. So your research project might be some historic costume design, for example, or an original musical composition that you've created. All of those are featured at our research days. It's really fascinating. The entire campus community comes. We have people from industry that come from outside of Kane because they want to see what our students are doing and see what they're learning. Students work with a faculty mentor. Maybe they're working with a team of students. Maybe it's an individual project. So that's really grown. Last year, we had over 1,000 students that participated in research days, and that's something that we expect to continue to grow. And those research skills are really important. That's what you're going to college to do, right? Is to learn those more advanced skills. And research skills are something that we know employers want, because research isn't just burying your head in a book or coming up with an original idea. It's how do you communicate that? Can you write an essay about that? Can you describe it in a 1-minute elevator pitch? Can you describe it in a 20-minute conversation, a roundtable discussion with other peers who are doing that same kind of work? How do you do the research to get the foundation for that? All of those pieces go into research, and those are skills that employers want their new employees to have. And so research is something that we're really proud of. Internships is something that we're really proud of. We vastly expanded our internship office through our Center for Career Services. All students at Kane University have the opportunity to take at least one internship. We really encourage them to do that. I was actually at a meeting earlier today regarding our communication program, and we were talking with a member of the Kane board who's in industry, and he was talking about how basically all of the people that he hires certainly for the lower level positions are people that have started as interns. And that internship is so important. You're getting academic credit for it, but you're also getting experience. And it's those kinds of experiences that can really make you stand out on the job market. We're here to talk about admissions. So I just want to give a little bit of information. You can apply and we have a fee waiver. So if you use the code go to Kean21, so GO, the number 2, Kean, Kean, and then the number 21, it'll waive the $75 application fee. So definitely encourage you to use that. And that's if you're applying either as a transfer or as a first-time student. And our SAT requirement is waived this year. So typically, thank you so much, Sylvia. Typically, students were prior to COVID were required to submit their SAT scores. Again, I know that students have been unable to take the SAT, and so we've waived that, not just for the admissions process, but for a lot of our scholarships as well. I was just on a call earlier in the week that talked about how we were dropping. That was something that I was actually really advocating for. So this is a great opportunity for you all to apply to Kean. You can use that go to Kean21 fee waiver. SATs are waived, so you just would submit your high school transcripts and some other information that goes along with that. And if you apply before the end of the year, so if you get that application in by December 31st, there's an additional $500 scholarship for you this year as an early action applicant. So again, like I said, we're from the application process all the way through to graduation. We're eager to work with you. We support our students. We're really committed to recruiting and retaining our students. And hopefully, I'll look forward to seeing you on campus. If it'll be in the spring, we had about 20%, 18 to 20% of our classes had at least an on-campus component in the fall, and we really emphasize those classes for our first-year students. For our ESL learners, actually, we ran a lot of our ESL classes with at least some kind of face-to-face component, and we're going to try and increase that safely, but maybe to 25 or 28% in the spring, and then hopefully we'll be able to get back to something approaching normal by the fall. And I know all of that is in flux, but we've done a really great job with remote instruction. Our faculty have done additional training. We've got the technology resources to make it work, but we know that. And this is kind of selfish for me too, but the energy that you get of being on campus, having a group of students who are eager to learn, students who are doing all the things that college students should be doing is energizing. Is one of the best parts of this job. So again, thrilled to be here tonight. Thanks so much for hosting me, and again, thanks to all of my colleagues that are presenting here as well.
Thank you, Dr. Mercantini, for joining us. I did want to ask a question regarding your specific college, and you could also respond if you have information from other colleges. Do you have combined bachelor's and master's programs, or partnerships with some other institutions that do that combination?
So we have a few 5-year BA/MA programs. There's a way to do it with our Master's in Holocaust and Genocide Studies, for example. So you would have a history, and then you could slide right into the Holocaust and Genocide Studies. I'm less familiar with the ones in science just because it falls outside of my college, but I know that we do have some of those programs. We're in the process of preparing a physician assistant program, and so that'll be a graduate program, but I think there's a partnership with that with our health sciences undergraduate major that you can parlay that into. We do have a number of graduate programs as well in forensic psychology and human behavior, which is great if you're going into kind of HR work and those kinds of things. We have a master's in communication studies, and again, I was at this meeting today and talking about how, especially in this virtual world, and we're never going back to a non-virtual world, right? Having those communication skills and that ability is increasingly important for all kinds of people. And so we do have those kinds of programs. And then we've got a number of 5-year BA/MA programs in the works. And so maybe by the time the students are kind of advancing through the process, they'll be able to do that. And we know that a lot of there's some education programs as well that are basically a 5-year BA/MA program.
And what do your study abroad programs look like?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that, because I wrote that down and then I forgot to mention it. So one of the very coolest things about Kane University is that we have a campus in Wenzhou, China. And so you can pay your regular tuition like you were going to Kane, and you can spend a semester or a year studying in China. All of the instruction is in English there. It's basically a Western faculty, but the vast majority of the students are Chinese nationals. And then we have a number of students from there that come and study with us in Union every year, and we send students there. I've had the opportunity to go to Wenzhou 8 times now, and it's been over a year. I'm kind of antsy to get back with the travel restrictions because of COVID. So that's a unique opportunity. Kane is the only public university in all of the United States that has a full campus over in China. And then we have a number of study abroad opportunities in Europe, in Central and South America, and some other opportunities in Asia as well. And that can be for a semester or for a year, but we recognize that that's difficult for a lot of our students. And so we have some spring, they're called travel learns, but it's basically a spring break or a first 2 weeks of summer break trip. Psychology has gone each year to a couple of European cities and studied kind of, they went to Austria, and Switzerland, studied Freud and some different kind of greats in psychology in that way. Our criminal justice program has an annual trip to London and then to Brussels to study the EU. And so those are shorter trips that might be a little bit more affordable. They're credit bearing, so it's part of your tuition, and then there's just the cost of the travel on top of it. So we've got, everything from going to the Costa Rican rainforest to being able to, like I said, spend a semester or a year studying in China.
I would like to thank Dr. Mercantini for joining us. You've been such a support since the beginning of the year, since we first met you. And I also understand that Kane is just a great institution that has a plethora of opportunities that I know some of our viewers are also asking about too. So thank you so much, Dr. Mercantini. Well, we plan to continue this partnership as the year goes on and as we move into the spring semester as well.
I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here, glad to be working with you, and hopefully we can just expand it.
So much. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Mercantini. And once again, we are now at our question and answer portion of our live stream. So Viviana, bring out everyone who spoke tonight.
Here you go. Everyone's on.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so let's choose a question from.
Y para los que están sintonizando ahorita, estamos con todos los guest speakers, los panelistas de hoy de la sesión de Admissions. Quería presentarlos otra vez. Tenemos el doctor Lester Andrés Rápido, que es rector y presidente de Asuntos Académicos, la doctora Irene Delgado, que es vicepresidenta del éxito estudiantil del Bronx Community College. También tenemos con nosotros doctora Marilu Marcillo, que es profesora asociada y también presidente de la Asociación de y también es profesora de la Escuela de Negocios Frank Guarini for St. Peter's University, que está ubicado en Nueva Jersey. También tenemos Diana Galvez, que es asociada del desarrollo estudiantil en servicios de inscripción en Hudson County Community College, que tiene un campus en Union City y un main campus en Jersey City, en New Jersey. Y al final tenemos doctor Jonathan Mercantini, que es decano de la Facultad de Artes Liberales en la Universidad de Kane University, que está ubicado en Union, New Jersey. A todos que están sintonizando, si tienen preguntas en inglés, español, por ustedes mismos o por sus hijos, sus familiares, pueden preguntar. Tenemos los dos fee waivers, uno que el doctor Mercantini habló en aplicar por Kane, que es Go to Kane, GO2 KEAN 21. Y también por Hudson County Community College tenemos un fee waiver, ¿no es cierto, Diana?
Yes, sí, tenemos un fee waiver, es un código promocional que puedes poner en el final de la aplicación, es H mayúscula, C mayúscula y el número 3. HC3.
So tenemos una pregunta. In the beginning, we had a question about, I think it was related to high school students, right? And middle school students, if I'm not mistaken, David.
Correct, yes. So Julian Velasco asked, what advice would you give to young high or middle school students who are not sure about their career path or how to choose their major or specialization? So, ¿qué consejo dará a jóvenes en colegio y middle school que no están seguros de su carrera ni tampoco cómo escoger su especialización o profesionalidad?
So I would say that's a good question, because I think a lot of times, you think you have to know what you want to study for the rest of your life or what you want to do for the rest of your life. But that's not necessarily true. I think many of our students, and that's why school liberal arts, and I'm sure Jonathan can attest to this, are really essential when it comes to students' education. School liberal arts is really the place, and all of our students at St. Peter's have to really take 2 years of liberal arts courses before they really start to do any type of specialization in some type of major. But the reason that the school liberal arts are so important is because ultimately it gives you a taste of everything. History, math, English, sociology, psychology, pretty much everything that most universities offer as liberal arts courses. And through that process, you take these courses and you realize, oh, I really like sociology. I think I'm going to take another sociology class. And before you know it, you've made a decision that you want to become a sociologist or a political scientist or a philosopher or whatever the major is. So I think that's part of it. And I don't think it's not set in stone. I'm certain that my colleagues here probably had instances where they themselves either changed track. They started out as one major and then changed into something else. And that's part of the reason that liberal arts education is really important, because you can move around. There's some leeway there, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you end up having to stay longer because now you've changed, let's say, from political science to biology, which is, a very big difference. So I think that that's really one of the benefits of a liberal arts education. And I know that the Bronx Community College and Hudson County Community College and Kane University and St. Peter's, we all have a very strong liberal arts education program. And I think that that's really important for those students who are at this point not certain. There are also there are different types of psychological tests that are free, personality type tests that you can take. The Myers-Briggs personality test is one that's very common, that is, is free. You can look it up online. And what it does is it helps you understand what type of thinking, what type of person you are and personality type. And oftentimes that helps to direct in terms of what career fields would work best for your personality type. So that's something else. We use that also for career planning, but it also would be useful, I think, for young kids. I don't know if my colleagues agree with me on that, but I'm definitely an advocate for liberal arts education, especially if you don't know what major you want to study, because that's really the place to begin.
Well, I always say to the students to take advantage of doing internships. When you're not sure of where you want to go, but you think you might have an idea, the idea of going to your career planning office where they have internships where you do small stints in different companies in different areas of the company will show you if you like it or not, and if you have an affinity for it. And what you think it is and what it truly turns out to be are two different things. Because in reality, when you start talking to adults and you ask them, hey, what did you get your degree in and what do you do for a living? You will find out 80% of the time, what we went to school for is not what we ended up doing for the rest of our lives. Now, there are exceptions. There are sometimes students who are very self-efficacious and very self-regulated who'll be like, I know I want to be an accountant. My father was an accountant. My grandfather was an accountant. I'm going to be an accountant. But most of the time, if you were to take a poll of this room right now, I would tell you, I graduated from Mercy College and I was a paralegal. I do nothing with the law. So if you were to go around the room and ask, and everybody would say what they majored in, you will see that their career, none of us here went to school and said, I want to be a college administrator. That was not on the cards. And that's where we were. So it's always going to college is about self-exploration and finding what you like and where your skill set is. So take advantage of taking courses that you normally wouldn't think about, and definitely take advantage of internships.
I also wanted to talk to about the college student success, and other schools call it college survival skills. It comes in a different kinds of names, and that course is designed to help you, guide you through college and make decisions. One of the first assignments I give my students is, what are your short-term goals? What are your long-term goals? So they organize their thoughts, and based on what I read, I give them suggestions like, oh, it looks like you should major in this or in this. I don't think you should be majoring in that. Look into this four-year school once you're done with community college, which is another great idea, because if you don't know what you want to do and you want to take your general education courses, do it in a community college, then transfer over, and then your paths ends up where B, C, or A. I started off as a nursing major, and I ended up as a sociology and anthropology major, and I work in a community college. So you never know where you're going to end up.
Just to add up to what Diana and Dr. Delgado and Dr. Marcillo attested to the audience, I think that we have to move away. My advice and my humble opinion would be to move away from those stereotypes that coexist among students in regards of community colleges. Just to give you an idea, and I'm sure that everyone here knows this, more than 45% of students that end up at a four-year institution had some experience, or either a class or having an associate degree at a community college. So point one. Point two, do not feel afraid to change your major. Personally, I changed my major twice. Probably Dr. Delgado doesn't know this, and Sylvia. I believe Sylvia knows this because I shared this with her when we went to Costa Rica. I had a lot of passion for psychology and Freud. And then I end up, no, Freud is not for me, and I move away from Freud. But that's the learning curve, right? So you discover yourself, and you start learning more about what you like. And my other suggestion will be to reach out to people like us. I'm sure Jonathan will be happy to intro Dr. Marilu, Diana, Dr. Delgado, and myself to answer any questions that you might have. We understand that when you change your life and you get a college degree or an associate or a bachelor degree or master's degree, and then in the year forwards, you become a life change agent in your family and within your community. And that's the only way that we're going to uplift our African Americans and brown communities from poverty. And I truly believe, to Jonathan, I love your comment about social mobility. I think that is the only way that we can use our education to move forward and create human capital. So I encourage you to and welcome you to ask questions and reach out to people that are here to support you.
I would just add too that I think it's easy to get bogged down in worrying about your major. And yeah, there's a handful of careers. Accountant is the one that I think always comes to mind, where it's not going to probably go so well for you if you're a sociology major and you really want to be a CPA. You could probably do it, but that's going to be a struggle. But it's not. That undergraduate major is not locking you into that's what you're going to be for the rest of your life. And certainly in the liberal arts, our focus is on those essential skills, right? Critical thinking, being able to communicate, being able to work in teams, being able to give a good presentation. That's the content matters, but do the content in the field that you like, in something that interests you. If it's Freud that interests you, then great. If you start learning about Freud and you're like, as Dr. Rapallo said, if that's not for you, then don't be afraid to change. We ran the numbers. I ran the numbers in my college, and more than 50% of our students had changed majors at least once. I know that we get nervous if people are changing 3 and 4 times, but one, not going to be a problem. Even a second change, usually we can make it work and fit it in. And still get you to graduate on time and to meet your goals. But do what you love. I mean, I'm in the College of Liberal Arts, so people are constantly like, well, if I'm an English major, I'm never going to make any money. 10 years out, the English majors are making more money than the business majors are. I have the numbers on that. The return on investment is that strong. So, I always tell people to, look, if you're interested in whatever it is, then go ahead and major in that, but don't be too worried that you're not going to have the career outcome that you're expecting if you're a philosophy major, or you're an English major, or a business major, or whatever it is that you want to do. Go and follow that, because that's what's going to make you the most successful, I think.
Correct. And just to add to Jonathan, if you don't mind, Sylvia and David and Viviana, I truly find my love in literature. So I became a literature major, and I'm still in love with literature. I love to read, and I joke with VP Delgado, because I always tell her that my favorite writer is Homi Bhabha, and she's like, "Oh my God, what's going on with Homi Bhabha?" I'm sure you know who it is, Jonathan. But to your point about return investment, all the big tech companies in the world, the Yahoos, the Google, everyone that is into the coding industry as we speak in Silicon Valley, they actually are dying for English majors, because they want people that know how to write stories. They have the tech component, but they're lacking of that emotional intelligence and critical thinking that comes along with writing. So I definitely echo your message, Jonathan.
We can also go on to the next question that one of our viewers asked, which was, in your opinion, is it easy to double major, and when would students need to declare a major? And I can probably translate in Spanish. En su opinión, es fácil para hacer un double, I don't really know how to say that, para hacer una declaración de un double major.
Bueno, sí, en español o en inglés, Silvia?
You can answer him both.
So I don't think that is hard. I think that is the challenge is to correct me if I'm wrong, anyone in here, is to find the time and to be effective in your time management. I think that as crazy as it sounds, I did double major when I was in college, and interesting enough, my roommate, he did triple major. So that was my inspiration. I was like, I'm so competitive, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy's doing 3. Let me try to do. Honestly, it was a lot of work. It's time management, commitment. There were many nights that I thought to myself, what the hell am I doing? But I don't think that it's hard. I think that you need to mentally prepare and create and master your time management, but it's possible.
And I think in terms of timeliness, at least for us at a 4-year institution, the sooner you actually know that you want to do a double major, the better to declare it, because then your advisor can work with you so that your scheduled courses for the next semesters work, so that, as Lester said, you can be very well organized. You're not wasting time or not taking courses that don't meet those requirements. So that's part of it. I mean, typically I would say I definitely encourage my advisees to declare their major at least by the end of their sophomore year, if they've made up their mind. If they haven't made up their mind, then you kind of have to still work with them. And I think what Irene said about doing internships is also essential in that way, because it is true. It does give you that real life experience. We encourage students to do internships from their freshman year. So I think that's part of it. So, to piggyback on what Lester said about being very well organized, that's absolutely essential to your academic success. The sooner that you know what you want to study or major in, the better, because then that you can set up a plan, an academic plan, to make progress towards those majors semester after semester. But if you don't know, this is where the liberal arts education becomes so essential. At some point, we will figure it out.
And for the liberal arts majors, at least for our curriculum at Kane, it's you don't take any extra credits to do that double major. You should be able to fit in most any second major in the same amount of time. So that's, again, where it comes down to the time management piece. Some of the more, our BFA in design, I think there's 75 credits within the major. So then it gets tricky. But if you're interested in psychology and sociology, or you want to do finance and history, that you can basically do in 120 credits and be able to do that. We like students to declare by, as they're going into their sophomore year. Our numbers are that if you're still undecided after your first 2 years at Kane, your on-time graduation rate drops significantly. And so we'd like people to have a major in mind. That plan becomes important. And the other thing is, maybe you don't want to declare a major, but maybe you want to have a minor. That's something that I'm working with our College of Business on, working with our science college on, and they're working with me on to be look, if you could be an English major and a computer science minor, you could just run this town, because you'll have the skills that employers are a whole swath of employers are looking for. Or get that business major, but you still have a love of music. Go ahead and get a music minor, or even a double major in music. Maybe you want to go into some kind of music industry. You realize that performing is not for you, but you want to work on the business side. You want to work on the financial side, the management side, whatever it is. So I think pairing different majors, different interests, different skill sets is a great way for students to succeed on the job market and to meet your personal goals too.
So now we can also end up with the last question. We're closing off now with the enrollment instructions on how to register for any of the institutions that we have panelists for today. Vivi, can you put the question up there?
Well, for Bronx Community College, just go to our website, oh my God, what is our website? BCC.edu? Oh my God, I have to look that up.
BCC.edu,
and, right, and right there you will click here to apply. It is that easy.
Para registrarse para Bronx Community College, puedes ir al sitio web www.bccc.edu to apply.
For St. Peter's, you can either apply through the Common App, or you can apply directly through St. Peter's University. Our website is www.stpeters.edu, and that's with an S. So en español se pueden registrar usando la aplicación común, o pueden registrarse usando directamente en la página de web de St. Peter's, www.sintpedro.edu. Ese es el website. Ahí pueden también ver todos los programas que tenemos.
Para Hudson tiene que ir a la página general, que es hccc.edu. Hay un botón grande que dice aplica ahora. Llenas un perfil, a profile, a donde haces la aplicación, das información general y después te mandan un correo electrónico con tu código estudiantil. Una cosa también que se me olvidó explicar de Hudson, nosotros somos un Open Admission School. Esto significa que lo único que necesitas para ser estudiante, registrarte con nosotros, es llenar una aplicación. Nosotros no tenemos un proceso de aceptar o rechazar estudiantes. Todo quien aplica puede ingresar en nuestra escuela.
And for Kane, our full website is www.kane.edu. That'll give you a look around at all of our program offerings, our beautiful campus, show you about our faculty. And then there's a dedicated kind of application website. So apply.kane.edu will take you directly to the application. But there's a link right in the middle of the main webpage there for applications. Like I said, applications are rolling in through the spring, but there's an extra $500 in it for you if you get that application in before the end of the year. And encourage you to apply. Look, this is, wherever you go to school, I hope you come to Kane if you think it's the right fit for you. But I don't want to speak for my colleagues and fellow panelists here, but I think we'll be most excited that you're going to college and pursuing your degree, and wherever you go, whatever you think the best fit is for you is where you should be. And just continue that advance, get that education. It's absolutely key to making yourself, your family, professionally successful, personally successful.
Para aplicar a Kane University, ubicado en Union, New Jersey, puedes acceder al sitio web www.kan.edu y puedes encontrar la aplicación y los requisitos para ser elegible para ayuda financiera, que necesitas como unos transcripts y también algunos notas o lo que sea para aplicar y completar la aplicación. Y si aplicas antes del fin de año, el 31 de diciembre, tienes también la oportunidad de tener $500 a tu perfil.
And with that, we'd like to say thank you very much to all our panelists. Y antes de cerrar, quisiera dar agradecimientos a todos nuestros panelistas por esta noche. And also también agradecimientos a mi propio equipo, Silvia y Viviana. So I'd like to say thank you to all the panelists for joining in tonight, and as well to my own teammates, Sylvia and Viviana, for making this happen. Before we close out, please stay tuned to our Facebook page or our website, juventudecuatoriana.org, otra vez juventudecuatoriana.org. Stay tuned for our virtual gala, which will be next Friday, December 18th. So more information on that within later this week. De nuevo, estén pendientes a nuestro gala virtual viniendo el próximo viernes, Diciembre 18. So estén pendientes por nuestra gala virtual. So,
if I can, sorry, David, if I can just add on, like David said, we are having virtual gala. We are also, we have closed application period for our scholarships this year. So we will be announcing those scholars at the end of the year, beginning of the next year, those 5 scholars who are for the 2021 year, as well as we have the financial aid workshop tomorrow, in which we'll have a couple of panelists talking about how to apply for FAFSA, cómo acceder a la FAFSA, cómo completar los requisitos y los documentos que es necesario para ayuda financiera en el estado de Nueva York, Nueva Jersey, Connecticut. También el tercer día, the third day, we'll have un panel por becas, unos expertos en cómo aplicar para becas y unos representantes del Hispanic Scholarship Fund, USHLI, Ascend Educational Fund, y Phi Theta Kappa, y mi propio programa que yo estoy involucrada, que es ERTC, so RTC, and that's it.
So yes.
Antes de, well, I want to thank everyone for sharing your knowledge. I know a lot of young people or even adults that are interested or they have something that's stopping them to go to college. So thank you all for accepting to be our guests and to share your knowledge with everyone who has been watching us. Just to let everyone know, please, you can follow us on Instagram. We have an Instagram account, is @Juventud Ecuatoriana. You can follow us there. You can follow us on Facebook. We put our flyers up. We put any information up. So if you have any questions or comments, you can message us on Instagram, or you can send us also a email at info@juventudecuatoriana.org. So thank you once again. And David, back to you.
Thank you very much, Viviana. Just one more time, stay tuned tomorrow where our panelists will be teaching you how to fill out your FAFSA and other types of grants, and also state aid, other federal aid that will be available to you. And also this Thursday will be our section on scholarships, where our panelists will inform you whether it be the colleges themselves or other organizations that offer resources for you to help finish your education. So with that, thank you very much and have a good night.
Likewise. Thank you, everyone.